All right, guys. So for this video, we're going to be taking a look at a very, very special decade of Washington quarters. Kind of call it a pseudo buyer-seller identification guide, so to speak, for this particular date of coins. And you're going to find that the short series from 1932 to 1939 is going to offer up a lot of challenges on the collectible space when you're looking to pick up some of these, especially for some of you out there that like to collect in albums. And generally, most folks that collect these albums and they're sitting there, they're putting in the actual dates. And you can make the argument that any grade is being considered at this point to put together a set. Some people just like putting a circulated set. That's perfectly fine. And then there's folks, myself included, I've put together a few of these over the years, that want to focus primarily on mint-state coinage, okay? As if they were minted yesterday. Or perhaps there's some examples like the one that you see on screen that exhibits some of that archival skin, some of that toning that's developed over the course of many decades. And we're going to talk about it here in this video. My personal experiences with collecting the Washington Quarter series from 1932 to 1998 is that there are specific dates that are a lot more tougher to locate, especially in higher grades, where circulated grades, they're plentiful. You could go out there right now and find just about every date for an affordable price, okay? So a few key kind of points to consider. There are a couple specific dates and mint marks that to some people, believe it or not, are stoppers. Or at the very least slow you down. Now, we're not talking like 1916 Standing Liberty Quarter rarity here, but we have the 1932D and the S. So the Denver and San Francisco minted coins of 1932 are quite small in the mintage department. As a matter of fact, the 32D has a mintage of 436,800, while the San Francisco minted date of 32 is 408,000, okay? But compared to all the other coins around it, it is very small. For example, the 32 Philadelphia, the very first date of the Washington Quarter, is at 5.4 million. So you can see the difference here. But there are a few other dates that are quite tough, actually, especially trying to find one that is in mint state condition. And if you're looking to buy one, trying to find one where you're not going to be, kind of like paying the piper to own it is another thing to contend with on the secondary market, as we all know. The premium for some of the more scarcer dates has certainly gone up here in the last few years. So, first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about the 1930s Washington Quarters as far as general appearance. Now, it's a very short 8-year range, all right, from 32 to 39 that we're dealing with here. However, there's going to be actually a pretty good range of different appearances of the coins. As you would expect, a lot of the coins produced in 1932 and I would say 33, but they didn't make a 1933 Washington Quarter, all right? So it skipped a year from 32 to 34. And during this 2-3 year range, I would say going all the way up to about 1935, the luster is generally really good on these coins. Again, as you would expect for a brand new out-of-the-box series. The mint, generally when they transition over from one design type to another, they really have pride and they take ownership in the overall quality of not only the coins, but the overall long-term usage of the dies and the hubs and things of that nature. So when you look at a coin like this is a 1934. All right, you're going to notice that there's these things can get absolutely blazing lustrous, especially one that's been preserved really well over time. You know, maybe a coin that was that probably came out of a BU roll at some point down the line. Generally, a lot of those coins are going to be beaming with just blast white luster, and I think that's an appearance that a lot of people enjoy from this set. Some people just want to put a blast white set of coins all across the board. But, you know, there's going to be times where you're going to come across an example that has kind of like a hazy appearance to it, and that's completely normal. That's actually part of the original skin factor on those coins. And you see them all the way from 32 to 39. It's only when you get to some of the middle dates, specifically the Denver and San Francisco minted coins, and a few Philadelphia's, like from 36 and 37, where you begin to see a lot more muted luster. All right. And then the kind of like business end of it kind of picks back up once you get to 38, 39. The overall quality of the coins enhances quite a bit going into the 1940s. You're going to find that a lot of the coins, let's say if some of these were identifiable in maybe a collection that's been passed down to you, you're going to find that a lot of it has some sort of toning on it. And the example you see here on this 1934 exhibits some of that toning that is really not offensive to anyone, but at the same time, it's like, you know, it's not going to blow you away. Really nice, colorful toned examples of any of the 1930s Washington quarters commands an incredible premium on the secondary market, sometimes 3 to 10 times market value for the respective grade of that coin. So that's something to keep in mind. If you come across these coins and they have absolutely amazing toning, whether it's a single-sided toner or on both sides or maybe on the reverse, do not try and hold yourself from actually dipping the coins. All right, the same way that, you know, when we have a lot of old sterling, tea kettles and things like that that's been passed over to us, our inclination is, man, this thing's dark and toned and tarnished. I want to go ahead and put it in some sort of dipping agent to make it new again. With coins, you want to hold yourself from doing that, because you're going to strip away not only years of developed color, but you're also going to rob yourself from possibly a really big sale, because the tone market today is huge. It's big. People are paying more money than probably some of the coins deserve. But this is something to keep in mind. Now, a lot of folks will come across a lot of Philadelphia minted quarters of the 30s. There's just so much more of them. They're very plentiful, but you got to know that there's a few kind of interesting, quirky varieties, all right, that exist during this particular decade. 1934, the coin that you see here, actually has 3 different motto types. Okay, you have a light motto, you have a what they call a medium motto, which is kind of like the regular one. That's actually the coin that you see here. And then there's going to be a heavy motto. That's where the letters are a lot thicker. It's almost blocky to a sense. But they're all quite collectible. People generally that collect into the series and they get to 1934, they'll want usually one of each motto type. The one that is most valuable to a collector is going to be the light motto. That's where the letters are very thin. They're kind of disappearing on you in a sense. But it's a variety type for that specific year that people are going to pay a little bit more extra money for, especially in mint state condition. Furthermore, there's a couple of really nice varieties. 1934 has a really nice double-to-die obverse, okay, and the same with 1937. 1937 Philadelphia there is a really well-known double die obverse. It's also referred to as the FS101 Cherry Picker's Guide variety. But you have a couple dates that you guys need to know about, and make sure you're double checking. By getting in close with a magnifier of some sort, taking a really close look. You're going to want to look specifically at the motto, because that's where a lot of the strongest doubling is going to occur. In God We Trust. So make sure you're looking out for those for 34 and 1937, both Philadelphia. Now, again, there is a lot of popularity within this particular series that revolves around what we call the registry set. Registry set is simply a number of individuals that decided, I'm looking to obtain the finest grade of every single date of coin. Okay, it gets put into a database, and PCGS and NGC actually host really nice registry sets. It's all more so for bragging rights, but there is some kind of like long-term goals and implications here with owning a set like this. Is that if you're able to obtain the finest of a lot of the dates represented within the series, you're going to have a collection that will grow in value because there's so few, say, mid-state 68s of 1934 than there are any other grade. So there is that component to it. I'm not going to dwell too much on the registry set, but we will take a look at the PCGS pop reports just so you're aware that this is a secondary kind of after effect of the series, is that it's a very popular one with the registry set crowd. Now, kind of where I think a lot of folks really identify with this series is going to be just simply either collecting into a full complete album, all right, which I've done again a few times, but also identifying the coins in maybe a collection that you have and you're looking to sell, all right? You want to know more information. So we've identified a few kind of like really nice key dates. Generally in high grades, they're going to stop you in your tracks if you're looking to put together a set. The 32D, the 32S, both respective of 400,000 plus mintage of each coin. People generally, when they get to this date, they'll either they'll either go and find circulated examples, but those circulated examples still fetch quite a bit of money on the secondary market. We're going to look at that here. And if you're looking to sell them, you got to know kind of where you're at on these coins. So we're going to go ahead and leave our 1934 slightly toned Washington quarter, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at what you can expect to find on eBay, in addition to some relevant sales currently happening right now. So, you're going to come across coins like this. This one has some sort of like scratches and damage, but overall it's really a shame, actually. 32S with some what they call graffiti, or just someone scratched onto the surface of the coin. It's damaged. It's a details grade. But overall, you can see that it's got some luster on there. I would say without the scratches, we're probably talking about a coin that is AU 55, maybe 58. Again, a real shame, but you will come across coins like this on occasion, and not specifically for 32S, but a few other dates. A lot of what we do encounter are going to be kind of like your scrappy silver 90%ers, and generally when someone gets into the Washington Quarter Series for the first time, that's usually the easiest way of approaching it. You could kind of check mark the box of every date that you could possibly find, save for the 32D and the 32S. But you could check mark, say, like a 35D for under $10 in, say, VF 30 condition, and add it into your set. Okay, actually, there's a lot of beauty with a problem-free circulated set of Washington quarters that goes from 1932 all the way to 1998. And again, you'll come across coins with varying degrees of condition and wear, and even going into some of those key dates like a 32D, 32S, that have that kind of similar wear pattern as some of the examples that we've seen for some of the more common dates, they can be affordable. All right, I've seen them sell for as low as $25 to $30 in like a decent VF condition. It's only where you get to about uncirculated, the AU grades of those two key dates, where the prices kind of shoot up. You'll probably encounter maybe $100 valuation for those type of coins. And again, those examples will exhibit a little bit of luster, but at the same time, you'll see the wear on the high points of the coin. But as you can see, at a respectable circulation kind of set, you're going to see that a lot of the coins are really quite affordable. You can even get into buying lots, all right? As long as they're all like different dates, you can buy a lot like this, plug them into your album, and then once you get a full album of circulated coins, then you can take the time to upgrade each date specifically. Maybe you have this like wildly circulated set, but maybe you want to upgrade each coin to maybe an XF or an AU, so that way they all have some sort of like luster on them. They're going to be a lot more eye appealing, and in the long term, these are going to be sets that are going to be worth a lot more money because they are desirable from a condition standpoint. So, something to keep in mind. Another thing to note with collecting these into an album like a Whitman album or a Dansko is that the albums cost around $30, all right, on average. This is actually a very common album to come across on the secondary market, but also if you wanted to pick one up, say on Amazon or Barnes & Noble and a few other places that sell coin supplies, your local coin shop, you can find either a used album for under $10, or you could pick up an album at any one of these other retailers for under $30. That's the cool part. It's only when you get to the more niche albums like typesets and like early colonial type stuff and like some world coin type albums where they begin to get a little bit more expensive, like $100 and up. But as you can see, there's a wide range of different types of coins that you can buy at all price levels. And it could be an incredibly affordable set to collect into. That's the good news. So, with that being said, I mean, you can pick up some coins here. This one's in just traditional bidding. But, you could see that the 34 uncirculated Washington quarter, might go for a really inexpensive rate, like $10, $15. And then you could kind of like cherry pick coins like this. Because I'll be honest, when people are going out there, they're looking for these coins, you're going to be, in competition with a few other people, but more so with coins that look like this rather than coins that say look, very well circulated, like something like this 34D right here. But look at that, for around $10, you could get a relatively semi-tough date with a mintage of 3.5 million, which is quite low for the series, because when you look at 1935, that is one of the more common dates. That has a mintage of over 32 million pieces of 1935 Ps. So anytime you're able to pick up a branch mint, that's what we call Denver and San Francisco mints with actual mint marks. Anytime you can pick up one of these for under $10, I would say that's a pretty huge win. Now, for you folks there on the selling side, the good news is well, it's 90% silver. All right, so there's the floor is really high on them. Okay, generally $5.50 to $6 per coin is what you would typically expect for a lot of the 1930s dates of Washington quarters. Again, it's only when you encounter, say, a 37S, okay, which is outside of the 32D and S. The 37S is the next lowest minted 1930s Washington quarter at 1.6 million pieces. So it's quite scarce, kind of tough, but it is certainly a coin that you could obtain for under $20. So when you look at some of the other possibilities, I mean, look at this 32D. This is a key date coin. Granted, it's not in the best of shape. It's pretty well worn. I would say this is more like a VG condition coin, but who could argue with a coin with a sub 500K vintage, a very well-known key date at that, for under $20? That is really cool. Again, there's a lot of possibilities here. But again, all of your big money, of course, is going to revolve around the high mid-state grades, in addition to the actual graded coins that are in PCGS and NGC plastic. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. All right, so pop report wise, let's go ahead and see which coins have the lowest pop counts and the highest grades, and then you guys will understand how rare some of these coins are to encounter in grades above mint state 66. So we're going to go all the way to quarters, and the regular 32 to 98 is what we're looking at. And then when we go down here to these numbers, you're going to go all the way, for each date, all the way to the right till there's no more numbers. Okay, so in the case of a 32P, the highest known grade is a 67 plus. All right, where there's only one in existence of that grade, and then there are 15 others that grade in a 67. So even understanding that is kind of half the battle. But take a look at the metrics here for the 32D and S. The highest grade of a 32D is only a mint state 66, and same with the 32S. And you see the respective numbers there. This is a very rare coin in grades above mint state 65. But once you get there, we're talking about coins that are worth many thousands of dollars. When you have a coin like a 32D, a 32S, and they're in mint state condition, those are coins that, ladies and gentlemen, need to be sent to PCGS or NGC, because at the very minimum, there are coins that are worth $500, $600, $700 and up, and we're talking like mint state 62, 63, some of the kind of like lesser desirable mint state grades of the key dates. But continuing on, here's your three different mottos for the 34. As you can see, they're quite plentiful, which indicates that finding a mint state condition coin of any of these is not as tough as the 32s. And then, as you can see, 34 double die is a big one. There's so few of them graded, and especially in mint state condition, it's a very, very valuable coin. There's also a heavy motto version of the 34D, the Denvers, so that's something you want to keep in mind. But overall, I mean, it's pretty constant. The high grades on a lot of them, especially the Denvers and San Franciscos, are mint state 67s. And then when you get to the Philadelphias, there are actually 68s that exist. So here's actually a 36S. Highest grade, mint state 68. I'm willing to bet that that is an absolute monstrous coin. And the double die 37 is actually so much more rare than the 34 double die. And as you can see, mint state grades are few and far between. I'm sure these are trophies for any Washington Quarter registry that deals also in the varieties as well. But you can see that 68s are in there as well. Once you get to the late 30s, like 38, 39, I'm telling you, the quality is better. The luster is stronger. And as a result, you see some of those mint state 68s. Let me look at 39. There are 23 known mint state 68 graded coins by PCGS, which kind of paints a picture all on its own regarding the overall quality of that particular coin and that date. So that's what I wanted to talk about in this video, is to kind of glance through one of the more tougher decades of the Washington Quarter series, and to kind of reassure you folks that you don't necessarily have to avoid the 1930s altogether, because there's going to be opportunity across the board for you to obtain a lot of the coins within this decade as cheaply as you would from the 40s and 50s, okay? And then you could be a little bit more discerning. You could actually hunt out raw, BU mid-state examples of some of these 1930s coins, and I did that. And I think at the most, except for the 32 DNS, I think the most I ever paid was like $90 or $100 on a few dates. The 37S is quite scarce, but you could see that it is available in mid-state grades all the way across. So maybe you could pick up, say, a mid-state 64 to add to your collection, not pay a ton of money for it, crack it out of the slab, put it into your album, and then do just fine there. But for those of you folks out there on the selling side, you're aware of a few of the key dates to be aware of. Understand that a lot of the coins, even in circulated grades, command $9, $10 a piece, which is a lot more than what silver melt value is for a lot of those dates. In addition to some of the varieties that you guys need to be on the lookout for, because they are absolutely monstrous coins that exist out there, and people just ignore them, all right, because it's all educational. It's all experience. If you don't have the education and experience of looking for these, or if you don't have the tools, then you won't miss out on things like this. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I want to thank you guys for tuning in on this educational series video on 1930s Washington quarters. Again, it's a decade that offers a wide breadth of challenges and easiness to it. And it's a lot of fun to collect into. If you're looking to get into a Washington quarters series collection, like in an album, why not tackle the 1930s first and get it out of the way? You're going to find that it is a way more easier than what it first appears. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for tuning in on my videos. Appreciate all of the support and views. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, my coinaholics, we are discovering together. You guys take care. Happy collecting, and I'll see you soon.